I don't know what the recommendation is.
I remember the recommendation quite clear. They offered me 40 hours of community service. Is that still on the table?
Okay, no.
This prosecutor is absolutely not playing around today. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're heading once again into Judge Tammy Hayward's courtroom home of some of the most spectacular sovereign citizen cell phones you'll ever witness. And this time, she's got yet another right to travel enthusiast in front of her, ready to argue that traffic laws don't apply to him because reasons. But here's where it gets even better. Joining Judge Hayward is a prosecutor who has zero patience for nonsense. No theatrics, no sugarcoating, just straight, unapologetic reality served on a legal platter. Together, they're about to dismantle this sovereign citizen's fantasy, one misguided claim at a time. So buckle up, because this one's going to be good. Let's get started.
The rest, though, you have two cases. You have case number. You hear me?
Yes,
okay.
I hear you.
So you're before the court on 2019 CR 04954 for driving on a suspended or revoked license, no license, failure to display license, failure to have license on person. I'm not sure, it cuts off, and no tag or expired or invalid tag. So that's on the first case. On the case from 2020 03114, you have a suspended or revoked license. You're represented by Lister and Holt on one of the cases, but not on the other. Did you want Lister and Holt to represent you, or did you want to represent yourself?
I'll represent myself.
On both cases?
Yes, ma'am. I have a quick question as far as law concern when it comes to driver's license.
Okay.
Okay, you're only allowed to have one driver's license, and I have an Alabama driver's license. So when I get pulled over, I actually show them my Alabama driver's license, and it's current. It's the most current, and so they make a determination if they should go off the Georgia driver's license or the Alabama driver's license. And when I present the Alabama driver's license, they let me go because my Alabama license is valid, and you're only allowed to have one, and I had Alabama license. So
I believe
Georgia
this sounds like a not guilty.
You're not guilty. Now, I don't want to jump to conclusions here, but it really seems like Prosecutor Taylor is having himself a slightly more entertaining day than usual. And honestly, who can blame him? When a sovereign citizen walks in ready to recite all 47 chapters of their homemade legal doctrine, you can almost see the sparkle in his eye. But he's absolutely right, none of that dramatic speechifying is necessary today. No need for a dissertation on the Constitution, no lectures about maritime law, no impromptu TED Talk on the right to travel. All the court needs at this stage is one of three options: guilty, not guilty, or standing mute. That's it. 3 words. Pick one. Of course, sovereign citizens never miss an opportunity to overcomplicate the simplest task on the planet. But Prosecutor Taylor is clearly ready for the show.
Okay, so Mr. Resto, what Mr. Taylor is saying is this is something that you could prove at trial. If you present that information at trial, then that means you want to go to trial instead of taking a plea. I don't know what the recommendation is. And I don't know.
Well, the recommendation was, I think I've been dealing with this case for an awful long time now. So yeah. I don't really want to go to trial. I just want to get it behind me. But I think that the recommendation, I remember the recommendation quite clear. They offered me 40 hours of community service. Is that still on the table?
Okay, no, Mr. Resto, it's more than that. So let me explain why I know it's more than that. So the basic fines and fees for driving on a suspended license is the first time in 5 years. If you get one, then you can enter a NOLO plea if you have a NOLO plea eligible to you. And then the fine is $500. But if you get a second one, the fine goes to $1,000. A third one, the fine goes to $1,500 and 10 days mandatory jail time. You have a second one, which means that you might be able to enter a NOLO to the first one, but then the second one is outstanding. So when you took a plea to the second one, that would definitely suspend your license. So that's what's on the table.
Okay.
And the fines are hefty. So you would get a plea on the first one, and that's a $500 fine, which is $737.50. But the next one is going to be $1,000 in addition to that, and that's $1,420. So we're looking at almost almost $2,200.
Your Honor, is Mr. Resto represented on the particular case that we're referring to?
Well,
I want to address him directly if he's represented, because this is a serious matter.
I get you. So that's why I'm saying, Mr. Resto, you have representation. I can allow you to be represented on both cases, and they can help you work this out. But understand that
I was already represented by Lister and Holt, and we kind of been going back and forth with the district attorney's office for a while, and they've been giving me recommendations, and I still didn't take it, but they've been giving me recommendations. I don't know what's changed, but it definitely wasn't $2,000.
Talk to your attorney and let them tell you what the recommendation they have on the table, okay? Because the recommendation, if you're represented, even if you're only represented on one case, the rec is probably going to come to your attorney.
Okay, now if I enter like an oral motion of dismissal based on constitutional grounds, are you standing on your constitutional oath?
Okay, I'm not.
To be fair, he doesn't understand his own oath any better than the judge supposedly does. And honestly, I cannot wait for the day when a judge finally gets fed up enough to just invent an oath on the spot, completely improvised. Totally ridiculous, just to see whether a sovereign citizen nods along like it's gospel truth. Imagine it. The judge leans forward and says, "By the authority vested in me by the Great Council of Traffic Cones and the Brotherhood of Courtroom Carpets, I hereby acknowledge your cosmic right to operate a motor vehicle under lunar jurisdiction." And you just know the sovereign citizen would respond with, "Yes, Your Honor." That aligns perfectly with the universal contract of my ancestral lineage. The way these folks swallow anything that sounds vaguely official never stops being entertaining.
So I have taken an oath to uphold the Constitution and to make sure that I treat people as the law would direct me to do so. So,
okay. Well, I asked this question previously when I was in your courtroom one day, in regards to the right to travel under the 14th Amendment, stating that citizens do not need a permit to travel with a horse-drawn carriage, wagon, or automobile without interference by police. And I was on a public highway, actually, when I got pulled over.
Okay, so that's not actually in the Constitution?
And I don't believe automobiles were around when the 14th Amendment was ratified.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
I just wanted to point out to the court that automobiles hadn't been invented.
So I actually went and looked this one up, just to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. The 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868, decades before the first automobile ever touched an American road. And that first car, by the way, didn't show up until 1893. It was called the Duria Motor Wagon. And shockingly, no one at the time thought, hey, let's rewrite the Constitution for this thing. So yeah, the prosecutor is absolutely correct. And to be thorough, I even read through the entire 14th Amendment myself. Not a single word about horses, buggies, cars, motor wagons, or a magical right to travel without a license. Nothing, zero. So I think it's safe to file this particular sovereign citizen theory in the same overflowing garbage bin as all the others labeled. Completely made up.
Horse, drawn wagon, or carriage.
Okay, so
an automobile is not necessarily a car if it's a household good. It's just a form of transportation. It doesn't matter if it's an automobile, horse, drawn wagon, or carriage, because it's still a form of transportation, and citizens have the right to travel without interference by police. So I don't even know how the police are even allowed to interfere with travel when I'm not using my vehicle for commerce,
Your Honor,
and it's
at
Hold
a
this
on, Mr.
particular
totally
Taylor.
point,
private household good.
Okay, so Mr. Resto, if somebody drove 100 miles an hour into the back of your vehicle and killed your a family member, would you want the police to interfere?
That's a murder. I mean, that's if someone got killed.
But they're traveling. You can't interfere with somebody traveling.
No, I mean you can't. It's stating that a police just can't interfere with your traveling, like pulling you over for a traffic violation or a tag.
But you
You're
want
not.
them to
You can't.
interfere if
Now,
somebody.
if you murder somebody because of
Well, it's
sovereign,
okay. Say you don't murder them. Say you just hurt them. Say you just damaged the vehicle. You don't want the police to interfere.
no, that because that's when it almost becomes like an accident or a crime or whatnot. So the police can. That's not really an interference. An interference with your traveling, not an interference when two citizens engage in an accident. It's interfering with.
So let me get this straight. You want the police to spring into action the moment something happens to you. But the second their job involves holding you accountable, suddenly they're overstepping, violating rights, and enforcing unconstitutional statutes. In other words, you want law enforcement to function like a personalized on-demand service, protect you when it benefits you, disappear when it doesn't, and pretend the rules don't apply whenever you feel inconvenienced. It's the classic, sovereign citizen, double standard authority is legitimate only when it serves their interests, and completely illegitimate the moment it challenges their fantasies. You can't pick and choose when the police are allowed to do their jobs. That's not how reality or the law works.
That's not how any of this works.
Now, police officers, as far as public servants, they have a duty to serve to the people. So if a car accident occurs, then of course public servants, as far as ambulance, as far as firemen, they will come to the scene just as a service. But for you to just interfere in my traveling is actually a violation of the Constitution.
Well, sir, the Constitution and the cases that have come out of the constitutional jurisprudence allow cities and states and municipal organizations to regulate travel for the benefit of the citizens. So they can put reasonable regulations on travel, meaning they can you can have a license. They can grant you the privilege of having a license to drive. They can regulate how your license is seen. If you don't have a license, or if your license is suspended, they can intervene to take your license away or your privilege to drive away. It is a crime. You can be convicted of not driving under a proper license. So the government is allowed to intervene in a lot of ways with people traveling. So I'm not sure where this information comes from, but there's a lot of stuff on the internet about traveling and the 14th Amendment and horse and buggies and even maritime law. But
I mean, an automobile was actually created before a driver's license was ever created. So people was actually their case pamphlets where people was actually operating vehicles before a driver's.
You mean to tell us that drivers had to exist before driver's licenses existed? Shocking concept, really. Almost like, stay with me here. The government eventually realized that any dumbass with one arm, one leg, and half a functioning brain cell could hop behind the wheel of a 2-ton death machine and start barreling down public roads. And once they noticed the undeniable chaos that comes from letting absolutely anyone operate a giant metal projectile at high speeds, they figured correctly that maybe, just maybe, it would be wise to regulate who gets to do that, not to oppress anyone, not to trample your sovereign rights, but simply because public safety tends to matter when you're trying to keep massive vehicles from mowing down everything in their path. So yes, licenses came after drivers. Because civilization has this neat habit of realizing, over time, that some things should probably be controlled before society turns into a demolition derby.
That's actually, you guys are actually a conflict of interest, actually, as far as you being in cahoots with the DMV. That's a totally separate entity.
Okay,
And for
so
some
Mr.
reason,
Resto, do you want to resolve the case because it's not
I
going to
want to
be
resolve the
40
case, but
hours of
I disagree with the fine amount because it changed. I would
it,
pay I would make an offer like I can do $1,000, maybe 12-month probation, but
Mr.
two
Resto.
thousand dollars that's excessive.
Mr. Resto, we're not negotiating. Those are statutory fines, meaning they're written into the law. I can't even change them.
Can
They're
I make a counter offer to the state and say it's $1,000? That can I be?
no,
Because I did do
sir.
time in jail. If the state would see that
Well,
and count,
that's why I'm saying that you may want to speak with an attorney because certain things that they can negotiate, I can't change the statute. I can't change what's written in it, but they can negotiate. And if the solicitor wants to give you credit for time in jail in lieu of the fine, those are things that they can do that I can't do.
yeah. So I would ask to the district attorney, knowing that I did serve some days in jail. Can you guys
Okay.
lower the fine and I just go ahead and end this
So,
case right now? I can do 1,000. I got.
Did you seriously just say you have $1,000 sitting in your pocket right now to put toward a fine that's over $2,000? But somehow you can't afford to go get a driver's license that costs, what, $150 every 5 years? Make that make sense? You're telling the court you can magically produce a stack of cash when it's time to dig yourself out of trouble. Yet the one thing that would actually prevent you from landing in this exact situation again is just too big of an expense. Really? At this point, it's not even about money. It's about priorities, responsibility, and basic adult decision-making. And honestly, forget the old shaken baby analogy. The real mystery here is who's been shaking you as a grown adult. Because the logic you're using has clearly been rattled around a few too many times. Getting a license is cheaper, easier, and infinitely smarter than paying thousands in fines because you refuse to follow the simplest law imaginable. But hey, common sense isn't always common.
With them directly without me being present, number one. Number two, the reason I keep saying you might want to go through your attorney is because they can explain to you what is already on the table and how that may or may not change. Okay.
What's on the table now, man?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I would rather you have that conversation in a breakout room with the attorney who's assigned to your case and with the state as opposed to here in the main room. One, because I have other cases that need to be addressed, and two, because that's not information I need to hear.
Okay, is it anything I can do to get this case resolved now? Because it's been lingering on.
I'm telling you what to do, but
years.
You're not listening, Mr. Reston. Mr. Resto,
I mean, today, like I want to resolve this today.
I get that you want to resolve it today, and I'm telling you what to do, but you're not listening to me. I said you can go into a breakout room with your attorney, and the attorney and you can discuss what's already on the table. And then if your attorney wishes to speak with the state to clarify anything, they can do that too. But you're not going to get it resolved by going back and forth with me because there's stuff I cannot do.
Okay. Just tell the state that I'll take their recommendation. I'll just pay the $2,000 if they can give me 12 months to pay it off. And if I pay it off early, if my probation will be terminated.
Apparently, your ability to listen checked out ages ago because she's told you repeatedly, very clearly, that this is not the time or the place for whatever argument you're trying to make. And she's also told you she's not the person you need to be directing it to. But somehow that information just never reaches your brain. So Judge Tammy, finally, out of patience, sends you, the attorney you insist you don't want, and the prosecutor into a breakout room to actually discuss the case like adults. And that's when things take an interesting turn, for reasons known only to him and whatever voices guide his decision-making. Mr. Rusto suddenly decides he needs to leave. Just gets up and walks out right in the middle of negotiations. No warning. No explanation, just exits stage left, as if that's completely normal behavior during a legal proceeding. But don't worry. The attorneys are quick to speak up afterward. And what they say might just explain why he bolted so fast.
Discussing with Mr. Resto, and I understand something changed about his bond.
Okay. He has bonds with two bondsmen. I don't know of anything. Did somebody come off a bond?
Your Honor, maybe I can address that question.
Okay.
Mr. Resto, our office filed a motion to revoke bond, and that motion was granted a rule nisi, and it was calendared. That motion didn't happen because of the pandemic. It was, I believe, scheduled to happen in 2021, maybe February, but somewhere about that time. I informed Mr. Kamani to inform his client that depending on the outcome of today's arraignment, the state intends to move forward on that bond revocation. Your Honor, may I make a request on that matter?
Sure, Mr. Taylor.
I'd request that the defendant does show in person for him. Zoom court is a remote appearance is not sufficient.
So let's get this straight. He can barely manage to show up for Zoom court from the comfort of his own home. And the prosecutor rightfully wants him to start appearing in person. And honestly, who can blame him? The guy couldn't even be bothered to attend the very next hearing. Now, to make things even more ridiculous, he finally calls in at the end of the docket, claiming he just happened to have a doctor's appointment scheduled on the exact same day as court. What an extraordinary coincidence, right? If you choose to believe that story, that's on you. But personally, I'm not buying a single syllable that comes out of that man's mouth. Every excuse he gives sounds like it was written on a napkin 5 minutes beforehand by someone who thinks. Planning ahead means remembering to charge their phone once a week. His pattern is crystal clear. If accountability is involved, he suddenly becomes the busiest man alive with the most inconvenient schedule imaginable.
Ways with respect to your case?
Yeah. Did he file a motion to withdraw?
Yeah. Did you want to go forward without an attorney representing yourself?
Yeah, it seems like the attorneys that the state appoints me, they have a very hard time of like listening to their clients, like what they have to say. Like I had a conversation with him for like maybe 5 minutes, and he was very like wanted to do what he wanted to do. He didn't want to hear.
Whitetar, you seriously telling us that a lawyer? Someone who's spent years studying the law, passed exams, and practices it as a profession, doesn't want to take legal advice from a person whose entire expertise comes from watching YouTube videos and thinking they've mastered the Constitution overnight. This is my shocked face. Truly, I'm just flabbergasted. You'd think that someone who's actually been trained in law, who knows procedure, precedent, and courtroom etiquette, might have a slight inclination to, I don't know, listen to experience rather than follow a 5-minute video claiming to reveal the government's secret plot to erase the Second Amendment. But no, somehow, the idea that professional expertise could hold more weight than amateur internet research is completely lost on him. And that, my friends, is why we keep watching this train wreck unfold.
I was raising concerns about the state came off of my bond, and I was trying to figure out why they came off of my bond when I show up for court. I gave him no reason to come off my bond, and he said.
So when you say come off your bond, the bonding company has to do that, not the state. So I'm not sure. Like,
well, they filed a motion to come off my bond. That's what he stated.
Okay, is that Free at Last or Atlanta Clayton bonding?
No, not Free at Last.
I have that you.
He stated that the state filed a motion with your court, stating that they wanted to come off my bond to where basically I would have warrant on me.
Okay, Miss John VA, do you have any outstanding bench warrants for Mr. Resto? I don't recall signing any, but I may have.
Did the state file any motions in regards to that?
You know, the keen observer in me can't help but notice how Mr. Resto is laser-focused on this supposed bond revocation, something the judge already made crystal clear wasn't even on the table. The level of panic he's showing over something that was never happening in the first place really tells you everything you need to know. And honestly, it just reinforces my suspicion about that emergency doctor's appointment he claimed popped up out of nowhere. The very same day he was required to appear in court. The very same morning he mysteriously couldn't log on. Yeah, that's not a coincidence. That's someone scrambling, hoping that a last-minute excuse will make the consequences disappear. The judge sees it. The prosecutor sees it. Everyone sees it. The only person he thinks he's fooling is himself.
Your Honor, I didn't know that he was back. I'd already given the file to my assistant. She said she had just sent off the bench warrant to you as well, I think. So
I didn't think.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, Mr. Resto, you're here. So I haven't signed anything yet.
Okay. Does the state have any intentions on trying to come off my bond?
No. So, sir, they don't come off your bond unless you fail to appear. My understanding is you had a medical excuse for being late today. So you contacted Ms. Val.
I'm actually still at the hospital. I just had a minor surgery.
Okay. So Ms. Val has allowed you to come on to the call today because she knew that you had a medical issue. So we can deal with your case today, or we can give you a continuance until December 6th, but nobody's coming off the bond and the bench warrant will not be signed.
Okay. I want to handle this today. It's kind of been lingering over my head for some years now. I'm really tired of it. And
Okay.
but I hear that the state is trying to give me 10 days in jail, and that would absolutely ruin my business, my life.
So
I have a 2-year-old son, and I'm a single father.
All of those reasons you just rattled off sound like perfect motivation to go out. Do the responsible thing and get a valid driver's license. Seriously, if avoiding fines, keeping your license valid, and staying on the right side of the law aren't enough to push someone to take a simple...
But see, Judge, in my situation is, okay, I got the documentation from the Alabama motor vehicle department. See,
Okay.
I'm actually an Alabama citizen.
Hold on,
I was
Mr.
traveling.
Resto. Hold on. Let me put you in a breakout room with me and the state so we can hear what you're saying, but we're not putting it all out there in case you want to make a different decision, okay?
Okay, well, I have no absolute reason to lie, and I really believe that.
No, it's not that, sir. This is what I would, if you had an attorney who was representing you, okay? So this is called a pre.
Yeah, but I just honestly believe that when you're just being truthful, there's really no need for attorneys when you're just being